Let's move on to our questions for this week. We have got 4 questions from the OLL community, and then we have our own questions as well. So let's dive into those right now. The first question is from Fanata. And Fanata asks, much like the case with Monster Hunter, are there any other games you appreciate artistically, musically, or design-wise, but can't get into yourselves? What good game, for some reason, have you just not played or can't get into?
Oh, I was going to say Breath of the Wild, but then you said good game, so I can't say that game now. So I'll say Kingdoms of...
Whoa, back up. You don't like Breath of the Wild, Bill?
I'm sure.
How do you not know this?
I know you're not a fan, Ash.
No,
we
because
haven't been into why Bill's not a fan of Breath of the Wild.
For basically the same reasons that I don't like Breath of the Wild, John. We've had this discussion.
Okay.
I know, Bill, you don't like it because you found there was no story, it was badly paced, you didn't like the weapon degrading mechanic, you thought that was really frustrating. Yeah, see, like, we've had this discussion. The rain.
Fact it rains and you split off thing. The fact there's very little that happens in the open world. The temples were so small. We've done this, John, because you've had.
Right. So coming back to the question then, Bill. If not Breath of the Wild, what game do you appreciate but not necessarily enjoy yourself?
Okay, so I actually thought Kingdoms of Amalur was one of those sort of games where I tried it several times and I just can't get into it, although I think the world looks really good and the characters look really good. And Undertale, I really wanted to like that game, and I do appreciate it. I think music's great, but I just don't like the style and the game itself. I just don't thought it was a very enjoyable game. Apart from that, there's games my lesser gamers like that I wish I could enjoy, like FIFA's and simulator racing games and GTA. I wish I could like those games to play them with those people, but I really don't. So those, I guess.
Okay. Ash, while you give your answer, I am just going to quickly disappear for a moment because I can hear an alarm going off in my kitchen. Nothing serious. I'll be right back.
Great. This might turn into an actual disaster stream. The thing is, John's left me to give you guys my answer. I don't have an answer for this because odds are, if I like the music and the art in a game, I'm probably going to like the game. As I've mentioned 100 times before on this show, I'm really picky with what I even bother to play, so I won't even take any interest in a game if I don't think I'm going to like it. So
is that because maybe those aspects you described, like the aesthetic look of it, the sound of it, is something that's a lot more higher rated than maybe sometimes the gameplay? Are you that kind of gamer, or is it not always like that?
I don't know. I think there's a balance. Like, if games have really good gameplay and really naff everything else and struggling. Okay, so I find the WWE 2K games really fun, despite them having just really finicky gameplay and being a bit janky and not looking great. But so gameplay doesn't bother me, story doesn't bother me. It's just a case of, yeah, if I like a game, I tend to like everything about it because I'm picky but forgiving. John, are you on fire? Because I cannot do this anymore.
It's all good. Have you filled time successfully? No, what it was I was setting the timer on, setting the time on my oven clock. And in the process of doing that, I actually started a timer countdown, which then just started going off. It's all good. No emergency. Everything's fixed now. It's all fine. Where were we up to? Can I move on to the next question?
You haven't answered the question.
I have not answered the question. And my answer to the question is Assassin's Creed. Because I enjoyed the first Assassin's Creed for the first half of the game. And I haven't really been able to get into Assassin's Creed, or indeed any of the Ubisoft open world style games, because they're obviously all the same, aren't they? Beyond Far Cry 3, probably, was the last sort of big open world Ubisoft game I played. But yeah, I, for some reason, have really struggled with getting into Assassin's Creed, which is weird, because I love games where you climb around and explore. But I just feel that it's just too much following map markers and stuff. So that's my answer for that.
I don't think Ash can hold that face for much longer, so I'm going to let her go.
No, it's just you are the only person in the world that has ever said that they enjoyed any part of the first Assassin's Creed game, and that is coming from someone who is a massive Assassin's Creed fan.
Well,
the first one is Garbo. Play the second one, John.
Well, I know, but I've owned the second one and the third one, and I could never get into them. But I remember the first one when the first one was first revealed. I don't know if it was at an E3 or something, but I remember there was this big presentation around the first game. And it looked incredible. But what you found was like the first 3 levels of the game were brilliant, and then it just repeated those 3 levels. The gameplay just didn't change, and it was dull as. So I never finished the first one, and it kind of just put me off because I was so disappointed because I was expecting so much. Obviously, coming off of the Prince of Persia trilogy on PS2 and that kind of stuff. But hey-o. Let's move on to our next question.
You might like Black Flag.
I tried Black Flag actually on. In fact, I got that on day one with my Xbox One. But I think the main problem was that I had an Xbox One, and so I couldn't really get into it.
I think if you want to try getting into Assassin's Creed, but you don't like the structure of 3 levels repeat, start with Origins because it's very different. It's more of an action RPG. There's a lot of RPG elements in it, and they kind of go on from there. So I would start with Origins. It's like a soft reboot for the gameplay.
Yeah, Sarah would agree with that. That's a good shout.
All right. We shall come back to that shortly then. So the next question is from Cake for All. Hello, Cake for All. I can see you're in the chat as well. Cake for All says, books get republished, older films get remastered, music gets remastered. What's the issue with games getting remastered? Why does everyone have such a bee in their bonnet about games being remastered when other forms of entertainment, it just happens in our minds?
Shall I go for
really
this?
Quick. Shall I get mine out of the way?
Go on then.
I don't think there is any problem. I'm glad it happens. And if anything, it's a very game thing to do because they've done it with board games forever. So as much as games try to be movies, the fact they have remasters is probably more natural than ever a movie getting rebooted. So I'm glad that happens.
So I think the reason I take such an issue with remakes and remasters in games, I would also like to point out that I don't like remakes of films. I don't think they're necessary, especially when they do silly stuff like take an 18-rated franchise like RoboCop or Judge Dredd or Terminator and turn them into 15-rated franchises. That's just not a good idea. So I don't like remakes in films. When books get republished, it's normally like as a different edition. It's either classics or it's stuff that has like come back into vogue. So things like when the Harry Potter books get republished for a new Harry Potter film, although we don't want to talk about Harry Potter too much on the channel. And I'm not a massive fan of that either because like if I like those books, I already have them. The issue that I have with games is that so many companies will push, here's a remake of a game that came out or a remaster of a game that came out on the previous generation. Instead of like, here's a remaster of a game that came out before most of you were born. Like The Last of Us got a remaster from PS3 to PS4, and that's too much. And also, like, a lot of game companies it feels like they put a bit more of a focus on pushing remakes and remasters to make money, which isn't a bad thing. They're businesses, they have to make money, but it's at the expense of, you know, supporting indie devs. It's at the expense of new IPs, being innovative. And I also am not a massive fan of I've literally just said I like the WWE 2K games, but I'm also not a massive fan of games like FIFA, which are just the same game with a different number. So that's why. It's because the focus they're too much at the forefront. Like, what really annoyed me a couple of years ago was every single film that was like in the top 10 grossing films was a sequel, a remake, part of a franchise. And it's like that with games as well. And I just think there should be a focus on new stuff. So yeah, there we go. I hope that's explained it for you, Kate for all.
Awesome. Hello, Raiders from 4K Icy. Welcome to the show. Let's move on to the next question, which is from Vagarus. And Vagarus says, what's the most unusual gaming peripheral you've ever used? And was it good or bad?
Who's going first on this one?
Well, mine will be really fast.
Go on.
As someone that grew up around video game consoles that didn't really have like janky peripherals, it's either going to be like, the Kinect, because that was innovative when it came out, or like the Buzz controllers for PS2, because they're just so strange. You don't get things like that for like the PS4 anymore, because you get like Jackbox and you just play it on your phone. Mm-hmm. So one of those. I'm going to go with the Buzz controllers because I think the Kinect was more popular.
I have an answer.
Go on then, John.
It's not really unusual, but it's my most memorable, and that is the light phaser gun on the Master System, because it is the first non-controllery type device that I used, and I have very, very fond memories with the light phaser on Operation Wolf on the Master System, and besides that, I've used, I suppose, really the only other sort of random peripheral would probably be the Wii remote. I just don't like it. I hate it. I'm not a fan of it. I just don't like motion controls. But yeah, the light phaser is the one. Go ahead, Bill.
I had a couple because I have to try out stupid stuff. And I think there's probably a few you've forgotten, John, because as a game manager, we were forced to play quite a few peripherals.
I'm not talking about all those like infinite number of plastic things that you had to attach your Wii remote to and stuff.
No, that's not exactly it.
No, none of them.
There was this, I don't know what they called it, but I think you were there at the show. They had one of those 3D tracking walker things where you're in you're in a harness and you're walking on this rollerball, and it makes you walk in a 3D world. Did you not try that at one of the game shows that they had once?
Oh, yeah. I suppose like the VR stuff, I suppose, is... That
was a bit naff. Yeah. But it also Rob the Robot. I actually tried one of those, the little robot on the NES that you play it with you. That was weird because he was so loud. But yeah, as for the worst and the best, the worst one I ever played was the mic attachment, which was Nintendo GameCube's big peripheral for one particular year. And there was a game called Odama, which was a pinball game, but you had to shout at the mic to move your army that was moving around on the pinball machine to go left or right, so you didn't actually bowl them down and kill them all. It was the most stupidly ridiculous and difficult game to play I've ever played in my life, and I hated it. The best peripheral, which I don't know if it counts, but I'll let you call me out on it, is the arcade game Fist of the North Star, where they had 6 pads that came out and you had to punch them really, really quickly, and I loved that arcade game. That was really good. Oh, Ash, hang on.
Sorry, you mentioned arcade game, and I've used the Taiko no Tatsujin drums.
There you go.
I used them at a Nintendo Norwich event. So yeah, that's probably the weirdest one I've ever played with the drums. That was great.
Oh, the Samba de Migo as well, John. You must have liked that.
Oh, I like that, yeah.
Samba de
They're
Migo.
original as well. They're unusual. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
For an unusual controller, the most unusual controller I've used, it would probably be, the maracas, the bongos, probably those types of things. Oh, and Labo, of course, on the Switch.
Oh yeah, Labo. Like that's how memorable Labo was.
So extra points for whoever mentioned the Super Scope in the chat. Nice. Oh,
I had this
the Menacer. How bad was that?
I had this weird TV that went on the back of my GameCube that had like a flip up, so I could play the GameCube portable. That was kind of cool. I used to take that into college and play GameCube on our breaks. That was kind of awesome.
Yes.
Loser.
Emily's just mentioned the baby. What?
From Babysitting Mama. We used to get them in CEX.
The Wii, wasn't it?
You get like a little dolly. We used to get them in CEX, and they are weird.
That was evil.
It was so horrible.
There was nothing right about that. Right, let's have a look. What have we got? Rob Turner asks, we all hear questions about who we want in Smash Brothers, but who would be the worst character to appear in Smash Brothers?
Dante.
Because he'd be the same as anyone else?
Because I hate that character, and we haven't got time to go into it.
You like him more than Nero?
Ash, are you putting yourself forward as the worst character to be in Smash.
Yeah, I'm 5'2", I'm weak AF, and I have noodle arms. I'd be like, bloody Ness and Lucas could batter me off the side of the stage. I'd be dead in 3 hits.
You are completely short-selling yourself. You would be probably similar to how Phoenix Wright would be in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where you would just insult all the characters and go, I don't even know who you are. You haven't made a decent game in 20 years. And you just have all these speech bubbles come out and insult all the Nintendo characters. You'd be aced.
All right, fair. I'll take that.
I mean, I'm casual at best when it comes to playing Smash. But I would just have to echo what I see in the community. People just don't want repeats of Fire Emblem characters and more Japanese RPG things. I think that's all a bit stale now. I think people want something a little bit more Western, perhaps. Something that will give us some different styles. Something that doesn't... Someone who... No swords.
Do you know that's actually a real big myth? There actually isn't that many sword characters in Smash. When you look at the roster, it's just because the sword characters all came out very close to one another that we think that there's loads of sword characters in Smash. Is that what you're going to say, Ash?
No, I was going to say, John doesn't like sword characters in Smash. Loves Sephiroth.
Loves Cloud.
Yeah.
Loves Cloud.
I play video games. By right, I'm allowed to be hypocritical.
Also, like, have you noticed, I haven't seen too many people because they're all too excited about the fact that there's Xenoblade representation that isn't Shulk. But no one's pointing out that Pyra and Mithra are anime sword girls.
Give it time. Give it time.
Next question from Ash.
Me? So mine is, if you were to get a tattoo based on a video game, what video game would it be and why? Or what tattoo would you get? That works too.
I don't have a single tattoo. I must be one of the only people in the entire world who doesn't have a tattoo. I am so boring. However, if I was to have a tattoo, I would probably have, and I'd be really boring about this, I am very sorry, but I would probably just have the meteor from Final Fantasy VII. On
That's
a shoulder.
exactly what I expected from you.
I thought you were going to have like the sword in the ground with the press start or load game or something like that.
No, I'd probably go with the meteor, I reckon. Or I could go with some, like a one-winged angel thing and have like one massive wing on the back, but it's a bit...
That's gonna hurt.
Not a huge fan of it, so I'll start small.
I don't do tattoos either. I haven't got a tattoo either. And unfortunately, I come from an era where tribal tattoos were all the rage. I know, bad, isn't it? So if I was forced to get a tattoo, I would probably, first of all, I'd have to bulk the arms up and then go for the tribal tattoo that Billy Cohen's got in Resident Evil. Because I have to go all in or not at all, and I'd just make everyone sick. And sorry, Sarah, I already know you're filing for divorce. That's fine.
Cake for All says John gets a tattoo at 100 patrons. 500.
That's not a bad shout.
500 and I'll do it.
Got gaming tattoos, Ash. Have you got another one that you got planned coming up then?
I've got a few. So obviously I've got my Charmander, Charmeleon and Charizard on the back of my leg that I just had to look at to remind myself who I had. I want to get my brother's favourite Pokemon and an Eevee for my niece added to that. So that's something I've got planned, is 2 more Pokemon there. I'm also thinking of getting something Final Fantasy XIV related, probably a Moogle holding the Jobstone for a Dragoon, because Dragoon is my favourite class. And I really like the Moogle design in those games. I think they look a bit ugly in some games, but they look really cute in 14. So I'm gonna get that. I also, at one point in my life, and this is so sad, like, so sad. At one point in my life, I was going to get, like, a deer in a forest based on the one that Chloe has in Life is Strange, because I used to have short, bright blue hair and wear a beanie hat and a checked shirt, and everyone was like, OMG, you look like Chloe. So I was going to get that at some point as well. Yeah, I'm sad.
Is there that much room on your body for all that?
Actually, there's enough room for the Pokemon. I don't know if there'd be enough room to get, because I've already got a full sleeve.
That's it.
So I'm like, and I don't want to use like my back because I want a big piece on my back as well. So yeah, I'm quickly running out of space.
So just start getting tattoos on your other half and just say, right, I'm out of room. I'm going to start tattooing you.
Yeah.
So you can put them together and make a montage.
That's right. Yeah.
Right, we've got one last question to finish the show. Bill, what's your question this week?
Mine is, I don't know why I'm asking this question because I'm just going to lose loads of, any kind of cool points if I had any in the first place with this. But what are your video game guilty pleasures? So games you like but shouldn't, or the majority of other people don't like, but you do. And I'll start off by how low we're going to go. I really, really like, and I got really addicted to Skylanders. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought the game was really good.
Fun.
Bloody Skylanders.
I know. I bought all the figures and I had loads of games and it got me every time they released a new one. I went, oh, that's cool. And it completely resonated with me and I got really addicted and completed them like 100% and stuff. So yeah, my guilty pleasure is Skylanders. What's yours?
I've got two. Or you can go first, Ash.
No, I was just going to say it better not be bloody Pop Hills.
I was actually going to say Pop Hills.
Are you joking?
Okay, fine. All right. Could be worse. Bill's wife has just said, I married a giant child. So.
Yeah, look.
What was that? Yes, Pop Hills on the Game Gear. Everyone should play Pop Hills on the Game Gear. It's a brilliant puzzle game.
If you want to throw yourself out a window.
It's great fun. Okay, fine. If I can't have Pop Hills as my answer, my other answer is Earth Defense Force. Specifically, in fact, there's been about 10 Earth Defense Force games. They're of Japanese origin. Basically, alien invasion. Think Starship Troopers, giant ants, giant spiders, hundreds of enemies on the screen at once, massive third-person, ridiculous bullet-hell third-person shooter. But Earth Defense Force 2017 on the Xbox 360, that is where it is at, and everyone needs to give that a try. The only thing is, it's literally it's absolute trash to look at. It's a 3D game, but the power-ups and the pickups are literally just 2D.
Just look at, you made me play that game, telling me it was like the second.
It really is. It's so good, Bill. It's so good.
It was the worst evening of video games I've ever had.
Clearly, you've never played Pop Hills.
No.
So, Ash, Pop Hills is bloody brilliant, and if you haven't played it, you all need to give it a try.
I literally have played it though, John. You made us play it for Yeet or Neat, and it's so bad. So bad.
Okay. EDF is reasonable. It's like normal frames per second, like 30. But it's got massive aliens and tripods coming out of the sea and huge UFOs, and the city is fully destructible.
It's 30 frames per second when there's nothing on screen. When there is stuff on screen, it's barely 2. And when you are actually playing, you just hold the shoot button and the auto-aim does everything for you.
That's why I like it. It's nice and easy. But I like it because it's like Starship Troopers and it's really cheesy.
It is cheesy. It is cheesy fun.
So that's my answer.
Oh, no.
Cool. Well, I don't have a guilty pleasure because I have no shame and, don't care what people think of me. But I suppose if I had shame, my guilty pleasure would be things like Mystic Messenger, dating sims, maybe oh god, this isn't judged, don't judge me. This is just a case of, I know people are going to judge me for this, but I don't care. I play the BTS World game on my mobile phone, which is kind of half dating sim, half gacha card game. With K-pop stars, so I play that. What other really embarrassing stuff do I have on my phone? Bear with. I play Neko Atsume. I still play things like 2048 and Akinator. Mystic Messenger. There's one on here called Obey Me, which is you date the 7 deadly sins. I've got a vampire one, a revolution one, a samurai one. So yeah, there we go. But I have absolutely no shame. So yeah, I guess we'll say dating sims and leave it there.
Good stuff.
I don't think I've ever played a dating sim. Other than
you need to play Hatoful Boyfriend.
Oh, pretty sure I don't.
No, you do. Yeah, you. The thing is, John. The thing with dating sims like Hatoful Boyfriend is you think that they're gonna be really weird and like strange and creepy, and they actually have like a really like touching, deep, implied story that you have to think about. It's not just like pick a pretty boy and go on a date. Like there is a layer of deepness to a lot of them.
Okay.
So John's playing a dating sim next on Twitch, leaving Demon Souls for another day.
No, we'll go with Demon Souls, I think. At least for this week.
Sir, on Final Fantasy VII, that's pretty much a dating sim.
Yeah. Sorry, Bill, you slightly confused me there because your Discord kind of just paused for a moment.
Sorry.
But yes.
I said the Golden Saucer on Final Fantasy VII, where you have to choose your date and entertain.
I've got Mass Effect. I've got the Mass Effect remaster to look forward to for my dating sim.
That's true.
I don't know if that counts as an actual example, but right, there we go. That is the end of our questions.
9, 8, 7.